Alright guys, I know I am super late to this. In fact, we're getting the third episode just tomorrow, so I'm going to try to keep this one pretty short. First and foremost, this season of The Purge is what I've been looking forward to from the Purge franchise since literally the second film blew me away. Look, okay, I know a lot of people have problems with this franchise, specifically the first one giving us this whole new world to play around in and being a home invasion thriller. It wasn't until Anarchy that we really started getting an idea of what the Purge looked like outside of someone's house, especially a rich person's house, who had the ability to protect themselves against any intruders. But then I know a lot of people, even though it is kind of the quintessential American franchise at this point, especially the July 4th franchise, which it's been over the last couple years, there's a big part of the fan base that doesn't like the political crap that's been going on. And that has dominated a lot of what we've seen throughout the rest of the franchise after Anarchy. I mean, yes, Anarchy kind of dwelled into it, but then we got election year. We got the first Purge that was really politically heavy-handed. And then we had the first season, which dealt with the NFFA and everything related to that. But this season, even though it does seem to be politically motivated, is at least giving us a view into what happens in the Purge universe outside of those 12 hours. And I have to admit, I'm really liking it thus far. I said during the first night when I watched it, that all you really need to watch if you want to get an idea of what the Purge is Anarchy and this season, if it really does continue to be as quality as it is over the first two episodes. Now, I have my problems with it, and we're going to get into those as I break down everything that happens and go through all the characters like I usually do. But just starting off, because this is a general review, I have to say, oh my goodness, this is starting off amazing. The Purge is back, baby. I cannot wait for the fifth film. I cannot wait for the end of this season. And I really hope now that we get a third season, although I'm going to cover that in a later video. Anyway, with that being said, let's jump into our main characters and go over what happened in last week's episode. We're going to start with Marcus after the home invasion and the disappearance of the guy who was trying to kill him, or at least the guy maybe got up or whatever. He is really rattled about somebody trying to purge him, especially since it looks like somebody's been following him and this guy was hired to kill him. We learn that Marcus is an ER doctor. He shows up to help during the chaos in order to just get his mind off of everything. But the big thing here is that he runs into the guy who was trying to kill him. He does his best to save him, but ultimately he just wants answers as to why he was trying to be purged during Purge night. And at the end of all that, he doesn't even really get any answers. The biggest problem I have here, and honestly, this is something that is really kind of bugging me about this episode. And strangely enough, this was something that I praised in the first episode because I kind of felt like they were going to do this, and then I also really railed against this in the first season, is the fact that almost every character and event that happened in the first episode is somewhat connected to each other. Marcus's son knows Ben's character from the beginning of the first episode. I mean, they go to the same college. Now, I guess he did say he had a son in the first episode, but I wasn't really thinking it was going to be this heavy-handed because they go to the same college that Andrews, the person that Esme is trying to find the reason why she was killed, like the file and all this other stuff from the first episode, all of them go to the same college and all of them are kind of interconnected. Right now, the biggest one that I wasn't really anticipating is that Ryan might get pulled into all of this later, but all these characters are now somehow connected. So I don't like that, but they did move the story along with Marcus, his son, and telling his father that he has a hit out on him and it's going to stay until he's killed during next Purge night or even before that. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens there. Ultimately, it's kind of interesting to go into the black market situation and the fact that everyone puts hits on each other. We saw a little in the first season and now they're going to explore it at least a little bit more. It's going to be really interesting. Moving on to Ryan, my favorite character throughout this entire season thus far. We pick up with him almost immediately after the events of the first episode as he's walking around and people are still kind of living in the chaos that was the Purge. Even after the sirens rang, we see him go to an old folks home as he pays the yearly rent for his mother with Alzheimer's to live there. He goes back to his hideout with everyone and they bicker about the money. During the events of all this, Tommy does come back. The police show up to get Tommy and they take him into custody. The idea and hypocrisy here is that because Tommy was caught doing a crime after Purge night, they're just going to hold him in a cell for an entire year and then execute him on the next Purge. This kind of gives a bigger layer to what's going on and how the criminal justice system works in the Purge universe that we haven't really explored before. But if it's just me, I honestly don't believe that Tommy's really going to be seen throughout the rest of the season. That was just there to kind of build up that world, and then Ryan is going to be put in some other storyline. One of the big ones that they showed throughout this episode is he's trying to figure out where the banks are leaving their money, because as they focused in the first episode, the banks didn't really have a whole lot of money in the vaults, which made a whole lot of sense. I mean, why would you keep all the money in the vaults if you're not going to hire people to protect it? If anyone can do anything and Jekylls are becoming more of a problem, then obviously you want to protect what people can lawfully steal, and that's one of the big focuses of his story going forward. How it's going to be wrapped up in everybody else's, I'm not entirely sure. Moving on to Esme's character, she's downloaded the footage of Drew Andrews being killed, and then she goes to Drew's house in order to figure out where those files are. She ultimately does stumble on a secret step in the floorboard that when she opens it, it reveals a folder of a recording device and some brain scans, the footage of which shows a woman in a session talking about her passion for violence. I honestly don't really know what they're doing here. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, one of the things that the movie franchise has been doing over the course of the last couple films is saying that most people are sitting out the purge. I mean, they respect it. They don't want to go up against the government, but the government has to go out and kill almost everyone. And then this season seems to be doing the exact opposite, or maybe at least focusing on the people who take advantage of the purge and end up getting warped by it, to the point where that kind of leads us into Ben's character. After everything that happened in the first episode, him killing the other guy, he seems to be a little bit not mentally there, maybe even turning a new leaf and figuring out that he is a little bit more prone to the purge than he thought he was at the very beginning of the season. It's going to be really interesting to see how all of these things are connected. I wish I could go a little bit further into detail, but because I'm so late on this, I know that you guys just wanted to hear my thoughts and opinions instead of me going on long-winded ideas or speculations or even breakdowns of what happened in last week's episode. So with all of that being said, let me just kind of end this by saying this was a great episode. This has been a really great season thus far. I'm glad that they're focusing on this and these characters are really interesting. My one big thing is that they're connecting them too quickly. I mean, it's too easy, too small of a world right now for all these people to be intertwined by Drew Andrews or Marcus having a son in college and Ben being that person's friend and just everything that's going on here. You know, that seems a little too convenient. Although, I guess it does say a lot that I can suspend my disbelief for a country that ends up going around killing people, makes all crime legal for 12 hours, and not the fact that, you know, people can know each other. That's just me. That's literally just on me. So anyway, guys, hope you were enjoying the season as much as I am. Tell me what you think about it in the comment section below. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Like I said, we're going to be talking about whether or not there's going to be a season 3 sometime here in the next couple days. So with that being said, it's been real.